we wanted to talk about a Business Insider article that Sovereign found.
Yeah, or not even, it wasn't even on Business Insider. It was actually a segment on the Young Turks, is how I
Oh,
found it out.
oh, interesting.
I just used the Business Insider as my source for the video.
Okay,
Which, I
well,
mean, I guess I can also link the TYT source as well when we upload the video.
okay, yeah.
But it was interesting to learn about this because, like, when you hear the term backsliding democracy, you don't think about the US pre 2020. And just for a bit of context, the let me get the let me pull up the article here so I can give the complete facts here.
Okay,
It was the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, which
so
is
the
a
IDEA,
yeah, which is a which is
Swedish.
it's yeah Swedish. Um, I was going to say based in Europe, but for specificity's sake, we can say Swedish.
Yeah.
Um, so how they rank countries is they rank it three different ways. They rank authoritarian regimes, hybrids, and democracies. And from there, they label them as eroding, or democracies, they label them as eroding or backsliding. And I believe there was one other one, or fragile, yeah. So those are like democracies in danger. And in 2020, they labeled the United States of America a backsliding democracy, which is I'm trying to remember what other countries the study labeled. I believe Myanmar was on that list.
That would make sense given the
It,
most recent military coup that took place.
yes. And so when you think of a backsliding democracy, like let's face it, us living in the US as a first world country, we probably have the best lives of anyone in the world
Yeah, I
as far
mean,
as like
we
social or like human rights, like being able to socially express ourselves and not get persecuted for it. The idea that we are a backsliding democracy is frightening, but it makes sense. Like the reasons that the study stated that it was considered a backsliding democracy was the insurrection on the Capitol, the Trump's refusal to accept the election results, just everything. And oh, and the other big one was the refusal to accept the right to assemble and protest. That, of course, is in reference to the BLM protests in Washington, D.C., where they literally like used police force based on the orders of William Barr to push the protests out of the way for Trump to take a picture in front of a church with an upside down
yeah, dear
Bible.
God.
Just painting that image in your head brings back horrible memories, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh God.
Yeah, that was a cringy photo shoot for sure.
Oh yeah. Held that thing sideways for all I cared. It would still been
I
cringe.
mean, it's not the worst part of that. It's just the most cringe.
Yeah.
Let's face it, it's not the most morally reprehensible thing that happened.
Yeah.
But with all of that being said, it's it's a lot to process because again, we were taught that this is the best country in the world. We are the best place to live in. And now get places that are far above us that are actually progressing in democracy. And meanwhile, we're shifting backwards more and more as the Republican Party gets more and more power.
Yeah. So one thing that I'd like to bring up is that for a while, like we've kind of deluded ourselves into this idea that we were somehow the greatest country in the world, and in some metrics we are. But I think we have to remember that our standard of living compared to other comparable countries has been pretty low for a couple years
Yeah,
now.
like we can compare ourselves to third world countries all we want, but we still don't have free healthcare like the UK and Canada.
Yeah. Or even just in the Scandinavian countries where they have better pay, they have better like standards of living in terms of maternity paternity leave, better schooling, like free education,
And
better health care. Like they have like or better what
Social
better
safety nets?
drug reforms,
Okay.
such as because I mean we have the highest prison population in the world, and a lot of them are for drug offenses. Compare that to other countries that handle drugs in better ways, and thus they don't have to deal with the issues that we deal with.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense that it would eventually translate to us backsliding, but it's
Yeah.
still surreal
Because
to
again,
see it.
even if like I'm sure a majority of the left, us included, completely is in denial of the fact of, or not in denial. In denial is the wrong word to use. Is completely um, written off the idea that American exceptionalism is valid.
Yeah.
And but even though that propaganda has been instilled in our minds ever since elementary school, it is very surreal to have those opinions validated.
Yeah. It's in some ways it is kind of sad to know that the damage that has taken place over the past 4 years of the Donald Trump administration is actually culminating in something like this, where we are getting, you know, we are basically getting to know that our country is regressing in some ways. And in part, we have regressed in many ways throughout the years, but to know that the very fabric of our country, the great experiment that is American democracy, is potentially failing, it's a little heartbreaking, to be perfectly
Like,
honest with you.
it was a leftist meme that, oh, we are a third world country now. We are no longer a first world country. And now to have that officially validated in a European study?
Well, let's not go so far as to say we're a third world country, but to say that but to act like we are somehow better than third world countries in every provable metric, that's a little crazy
Of
now.
course, the meme is hyperbolic in it of itself, but to
Yeah,
have it, the fact that we are no longer the best example of a democracy in the world.
yeah. Especially something that we pride ourselves on. Even when we like invade other countries and we talk about how we're doing such great things for other countries, we do so because we pride ourselves on the fact that we are a democracy. We are a republic.
Yeah,
But mm,
it's oh god, I don't want to be all doomer right now because we we
yeah,
try our best not to advocate for doomerism on our
yeah,
podcast because it's very harmful to our movement and to just enthusiasm on the left.
yeah.
But oh god,
That this is, in my opinion, a painful wake up call for us as Americans to know that, listen, the things that we enjoy in our lives are not necessarily things that are granted. These are things that can be very easily taken away from us at any point. And we need to be aware that the things that we have that are considered our freedoms are privileges. Not everyone in the world has the things that we have. Not everyone has the right to vote. I mean, even in this country, that's not even true. I mean,
yeah.
you have prisoners that don't have the right to work, and not right to work, right to vote, and so on. But in other countries, it's no longer a right to vote, not a right to assemble, not a right to free speech. And these are things that we pride ourselves on. These are things that are considered core tenets of what makes a good democracy. We've seen countries fight wars over these ideas.
Yeah.
And we were the ones that always tried to champion ourselves as we are this, we embody this. And to see that that is no longer the case, the mask is slipping and that we may have failed.
Yeah. And this also leans into the fact that Republicans are so concerned, like, why aren't millennials and Gen Z agreeing with us? This is why. The propaganda that we have been fed is ultimately cultivating, thanks to the age of the internet, to younger generations realizing all the BS we've been fed.
Yeah.
And like, I wish I had a soundbite right now of Trump saying the world is laughing at us, because that is something he did say, but that was back in his 2016 presidential run. But now it's valid here more than ever.
I mean, he was even right back then. It was just he was right for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
They were laughing at us for damn sure, but they were laughing at him.
They were laughing at him.
But
And they are still laughing at the stuff that he has done to our country.
but now they've also come to realize, the rest of the world has come to realize, America, you have your own problems that are, yeah.
Yeah. Ugh, God.
Overall, um, I can't help but feel sad, to
Yeah,
be perfectly honest.
I did really want to talk about this because even though this is very like doomer fuel, I can't help but feel like this is the culmination of propaganda we've been fed to. And because of the fact that the internet has been so helpful to younger generations, uh, escape that propaganda
Or sometimes not escape, but sometimes fall deeper into it.
that is also true. Because while we have millennials and Gen Z learning about other countries and how they're like they don't have state run propaganda, or not even state run, like it's more in our education system if anything, and our entertainment that we have like propaganda like that.
Yeah,
But to learn that other countries find what we teach to our kids kind of like like messy,
yeah,
it's it's weird. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have also the internet forcing, or not forcing people, but providing a catalyst for people to become more radicalized. And while the left is trying so hard to stay away from leaning towards socialism, you have Republicans continuously accepting fascism at a faster and faster rate.
yeah,
So ultimately, we are becoming, or the right is becoming a lot more radicalized, while the establishment refuses to equal that out with the left. And I'm not saying left radicalization is equivalent.
but I mean, I think it's very clear that the Democrats are not try the Democrats are not doing their job. They are claiming that they want to bring us back to a better time. They want to bring back civility. They want to bring back stability. But this is
Are you,
evidence, in my opinion.
are you saying that the Democratic establishment wants to make America great again?
Shut the fuck up.
Just,
I will.
Democratic
I
establishments are
will
apps.
Roblox. I will Roblox you. I will find you in Roblox and I will murder you.
You got to find me first.
Shut up. Anyways,
The Democratic establishment are all hacks, and we as progressives need to move past that.
but before we do move past that, we still need to at least kick them in the pants just a little bit because we can't move on and do much if they don't, if we just say, "Oh well, fuck you guys." I mean, they're gonna be like, "Well, fuck you too."
Yeah, I hope you know the reason I made that joke is I'm comparing modern Democrats to Bush era Republicans.
True.
You know that's why I made that joke, right?
Yes.
You know that's why. I
Yes.
didn't do this just to spite you.
Fine.
Because at this point, Democrats are just Bush era Republicans at this point. There's no difference between them except for their ability to say in front of cameras that they support whatever bill AOC is advocating for.
Okay, they don't go. They don't go that far. It's more like we don't think trans people are icky.
Fair enough.
They've evolved to the point where they are like, you know what? We will defend trans people after all these years.
Again, we've only had gay marriage illegal for what, 6 years now?
Yeah, and even then, that was a fucking struggle to grab them on.
It took Obama up until the second to last year of his presidency, and that is pathetic.
Yeah.
And that was in a Republican. That's when Republicans had a stranglehold on both houses, right?
Yeah, and the only reason we really got it was because of the Supreme Court, which we have since lost.
Yeah.
Either